Good morning, everybody. Welcome to a brand new and beautiful day and a full moon day. It is the wolf moon, and it's a cold one. Last night it was gorgeous. And for those of you that are wondering, yep, the chat room is open. Hey, Katie Battle, it is great to see you in the chat room. I'm going to quickly post a link onto the Facebook page to let everybody know that we're having fun this morning. Here we go. All right. So this morning, on this gorgeous full moon day, hey Angie, I thought we would have some fun with the Mystic Angels. And I know that some of you have the brand new deck, the Mystic Angels of Enchantment and Magic, right? The beautiful deck. We do always have fun. The beautiful deck of enchantments that is digital. Hey, Carla Joe. Hi, Tara. To start off this full moon day in a good way. It's a gorgeous day. I'm going to light my meditation candle while I'm at it here in the studio and let everybody just file on in. It's been a while since we've spent a morning with the Mystic Angels, but that's what we're going to do today. So wherever you happen to be this morning, I invite you to take a deep breath. If you haven't done that already, sometimes we can get busy already early in the morning or wherever you happen to be and forget to even take a deep breath. So deep breath, everybody. And a great big exhalation. And just a moment of gratitude for all of the abundance in our lives and for the abundance that continues to flow into our lives. We're going to do that this morning all together. Good morning, Chuehi Hane Washte. I want to start out by thanking David Fix for creating the new digital deck. It's the first of its kind because it is digital and it is also animated. And I can hardly wait to get my screen projector so I can project these animated angels on my walls. I'm looking forward to that. So today we're just going to draw cards from the new digital deck. The Magical Mystic Angels of Enchantment. So, it does not really matter what we do, it's just nice to be here. Thank you for that, Katie. All right. Oh, this is a lovely one. Katie, this one is for you. I'm drawing it. I'm using the new digital deck. Oh, what a beautiful way to begin this show. It's the Archangel Eritron. And the Archangel Eritron is known as the very first angel. Eritron is also known as the Divine Magician, the Angel of Magic. And let's talk about that word magic for a moment. One of the derivatives of that word magic is the word magi. Magi's are related to Zoroaster and Zoroastrianism, right, which is very Persian in the world. And it represents wisdom and knowledge. And of course, it's always the way in which we use our wisdom and knowledge that proves whether we are using our gifts and talents in a good way or a negative way. And the same is true when it comes to magic and alchemy. Katie, one of the thoughts that I attribute to Eritron is this. Where is your magic? Where is your magic? Claim it. Bring it home to yourself. Where did your magic go? And whatever we decide is magic, the magic of joy, the magic of our gifts and talents, Where is your magic? Call it forth, says the Archangel Eritron. Call it forth. And that can be very easy. Right now, Sandy Herrick and I are co-facilitating a 6-month course in bringing home the mystic and the magic. And getting into the conversation about what is it that blocks us from bringing our ancestral gifts and talents home to us, wherever we happen to be, but especially here in the West. What is it that blocks the magic? Eritron is a bridge. Eritron is an energetic bridge between the seen and the unseen world. And as I always say, the alchemy is in the doing, in the lighting of the candle. Do you just light the candle, or do you take a moment to really light the candle, to be consciously awake and aware? Do you say a prayer, and do you say it fast? Or do you say a prayer and do you listen to the words? Do you feel the words of the prayer? The alchemy, the magic is in the doing. You know, when I was little and you would go to confession and you'd get your penance, whatever it would happen to be, 10 Hail Marys, a couple of Glory Bees, and maybe an Our Father. Boy, you wanted to say those prayers so fast so that you could get out of the church pew and head on home and go roller skating or play hopscotch. I loved to play hopscotch when I was a kid, but you just wanted to get on with things. And then as I got older, it became really clear to me that if I really took a look at the words of the Hail Mary, the Glory Be, the Our Father, or any other one of those penitent prayers, they're actually very beautiful and very potent. And then I began to look at the history of some of those prayers, like the Hail Mary, and to learn about the origins. Astonishing what we can find when we are awake and aware. For those that are in the chat room, if you would give the show a like, you will see a yellow bar up above the chat room scroll. If you could hit that heart that says like, that would be awesome. And if you're not yet following me on the show, if you could do that as well, that would be super. And I appreciate that very muchly. All right, Angie. This one is for you, Angie. It's the Archangel Verchiel, known as the Lion and the Lioness. This is an angel of courage. Whether you are seeking, questing, I like that. I'm going to replace that with questing. Whether you are questing for knowledge, Angie, seeking illumination, personal healing, or searching for truthful answers, Verchiel brings light to darkened corridors and the bravery that is sometimes required to seek and to find what it is that you are looking for. What is it that you seek? What do you wish to clarify? Right? Verchiel helps us with that. Sometimes when we are working on our own personal healing and or ancestral healing, we are led into some darkened places, usually memories. I like to invite Verchiel when I make a stroll down memory lane. I think that in our humanness, we oftentimes gloss over in our memories, right? Particularly when it comes to people who have passed. Have you ever noticed that sometimes when people pass, they go from being who they were to all of a sudden they were a saint? And people talk about them as though they were a saint or an ascended one, right? But if we really sit in memory and stroll down that memory lane, sometimes we are taken into places that aren't so saintly in our memories. And this is where Verchiel comes in. And also when we are seeking knowledge, what is it that we'd like to learn more about? Maybe you'd like to learn more about polar bears in the Antarctic. I don't know. Whatever that happens to be. Dolphins in the ocean, how they communicate. Vershiel is one of those wonderful energies from the heart and mind of creation that will lead us to the wisdom that we are seeking, but will also lead the wisdom to us. It's a wonderful two-way when we work with Vershiel. So, Angie, have some fun. Have some fun. This is definitely an angel that you want to bring with you when you are searching. I'm having fun using this wonderful deck here. All right, Carla Jo. Carla Jo's going to be teaching a class at the School of Sacred Studies here shortly. CJ. This one is for you. Oh, it's the Archangel Amethyst. The Archangel Amethyst. Sometimes we can confuse what an angel is with perhaps what we've been taught about them or not been taught about them, but angels are messengers. That is what they are. They are messengers on the causeway between heaven and earth. And I like to think of them as going in between, right? Delivering messages, receiving messages, kind of like I always think of in New York City, the couriers on bicycles, right? That's how I picture angels on the causeway between the universes. And so crystals, stones, they're also messengers. And the Archangel Amethyst is known as the Lord and the Lady of Inner Earth, the crystal kingdom. So Carla Jo, when I choose this for you, Amethyst also helps to oversee the Akashic records, the land of Akasha. So the vast libraries of ancient wisdom. You are being called to do some work perhaps with crystals. But in particular, Carla Jo, I'm seeing you sitting with a crystal. And in the company of the intelligence of the crystal and the intelligence of the archangel known as Amethyst, to really bring forth some wisdom, some information today on this full moon. It's a little bit of a crystal full wolf moon exercise that I see you in. Drawing some energy. Okay. Invite the Archangel Amethyst to accompany you into the extraterrestrial, ultra-terrestrial, and inner earth schools of mystery, magic, and higher learning. And for any of you that study the I Am works, you know that there's been a lot of study, a lot of sharing about inner earth wisdom, particularly around Mount Shasta and in the inner earth world known as Telos. Right? We know that the beings known as crystals, etc., are very intelligent, and I'm going to leave that there. So there you go, Carla Jo. That's pretty doggone exciting. Tara. Katie. Magic. I love magic. Thank you for the homework. I love the rosary. Yeah, when you get to really understand what that rosary is all about, it's quite extraordinary. And the way that it came to Father Dominic back in the day, the Archangel Gabriel, they say, appeared to Father Dominic. And in that visitation, in that apparition, Father Dominic was given the 144 platitudes, Hail Mary, full of grace. And out of the 12 decades of 12, it was added on to. So now we also have the Beatitudes, etc., etc. And that's why my dog and my cat are named Gabriel and Dominic. A little aside there. Okay, for my dear friend Tara. Tara. The Archangel Azrael. The Archangel of Scorpio. The Archangel of the High Priest and Priestess. I'm going to read this. Azrael one of the greatest light emissaries in all of the angelic realms, the divine being who lovingly separates the soul from the physical body at the time of our earthly passing, reminds you of the importance of taking the time to listen, to feel, to see, to smell, to taste what is not physically present, but what is wholly alive within you and in the unseen worlds around you. To the one who sees, feels, listens, much wisdom is revealed in the sacred space and time that is spent with our angelic guides and spiritual allies each day. And here's a little homework for you, Tara, should you choose to accept it. Create a sacred space for conscious breathing and conversation with spirit and soul. What needs to be released in order for what is new to be born? What do your guides, angels, allies, and totems in spirit wish to share with you at this time? Take time to listen, to feel, to see, to know. So Azrael is known as the angel of mystics. And oftentimes the seer, the healer, the sensitive, is in the company of Azrael. It's interesting. Todd and I watched the show Lucifer, and I found it very interesting that one of the characters in the last episode we watched began revealing to her friends that she is a seer. And the angel that had been accompanying her since she was a child was the Archangel Azrael. I found that really sweet, and in collaboration with the cards. Hey, Charlotte. You're welcome, Angie. All right, Del Marie. Chue, this one is for you. Okay, using the digital deck, so that's just kind of fun. All right, Chue. It's the Archangel Saint Raphael, the divine healer, the ruler of the second heaven. And I know that you enjoy working with angels too, Del. The Archangel Saint Raphael is softly inviting you to create a sacred space of healing for yourself, or perhaps another who is in need of restoration and peace. This space might be prepared for prayer, meditation, shamanic journey, energy medicine, counseling. The list goes on and on. But a space of healing for yourself, of rejuvenation, of refilling your basket. Ask Saint Raphael to be present, to overlight, protect, and assist with the facilitation of this sacred space of healing, which will allow for a gentle releasement of all that is no longer nourishing to your body, mind, spirit, or emotions. And when we do that, the great part about helping to remove the clouds, whether the clouds are emotions or shame, blame, trauma, busyness, whatever that cloud is, the cloud of whatever, like little pig pen dust that, we sometimes find ourselves in, that little pig pen dust prevents us from having clear communication, not only with the angels, but with our guides, with the saints, with the ascended ones, with the Wakan Washte, the good spirits. The thing about keeping our antenna clear and, our body antenna of spirit, emotions, mind, physicality, etc., the four sides of the pyramid, body, mind, spirit, and emotions. When they are cloudy, what is it that gets attracted to that pig pen dust? Well, I'll tell you what gets attracted to the pig pen dust. When we don't clean up our aura and our thoughts and pay attention. well, more of that dust is attracted, frankly. And this is where we find ourselves in the company of spirit attachments, usurpers, wannabes, you name it. Not the sort that you want to be hanging out with when you want to have clear communication. And so if we are muddled, we attract muddled. This is why, before I have clients, I start my clients this afternoon at precisely 12:30. Yesterday morning, I started them at 9 a.m. And in either case, whether it's morning, noon, or in the evening, the very first thing that I do is I prepare my space and I prepare myself so that I can remove, the dust bunnies, the dust balls, the dingleberries of whatever. You know what I'm saying? And then we're a clear channel. So the clearer that we can be, the clearer the communication is going to be. All right, I didn't mean to go off on that whole thing. So that is your homework, Chue, is spend a little time on this full moon, Shunkumani Tutanka full moon today. All right. Hey, Donna King, cousin. Good to have you in the house. I love my cousin Donna. Of course I do. What's not to love, right? Charlotte. Oh. The Archangel Muriel. Charlotte. Muriel. The ruler of the Order of Dominions. Right? So my Catholic roots show a lot in my work. And, I grew up with the 9 hierarchies of angels. And that's what we were taught in catechism amongst every other sort of thing about angels. And other people have the angelics broken down into other groupings or what have you, strata. And I just go with the old what I was taught, right? Stick with what you know. And don't, as my friend Darlene always says, don't say what you don't know, right? Oh, goodness. The Archangel Muriel, ruler of the Order of Dominions, also known as the perfume of God. That reminds me of the Egyptian goddess Bastet, right? The perfumer. Those born with the gifts of a sensitive seer, and those who are learning the art of becoming such, are required to be mindfully awake and consciously aware of creating healthy boundaries in their lives, Charlotte. And you are already on this. What foods are you eating? Liquids are you drinking? Music are you listening to? Entertainment are you watching? Books are you reading? What company are you keeping? Right? That is one of those things that if we are sensitive to spirit, we need to be mindfully awake and aware too, which is why you rarely find me on Facebook anymore, other than a rare plug-in or plug-in here or there. It's become so toxic to me on so many levels. What used to be really fun and engaging for me to go out there and see what everybody's doing, what's up in their life, what's shaken, it's become, for me, treacherous territory, and I don't engage in it. Very rarely do I engage in it, and that is the reason for that. I have to be mindfully aware and setting really good boundaries. So that's part of being a sensitive person. Otherwise you get sucked in, right? Otherwise you get sucked in to that hot mess. And I don't want to get sucked into that hot mess. I've spent too many years in recent history setting really clear boundaries with negative people and negative situations and abuse in many forms, that I'm not going to purposefully go out there and abuse my emotions or my sensitivities. Although I have had a lot of fun with the Bernie Sanders memes. I'll tell you, that one of him is Miss Gulch flying by Dorothy's bedroom window. That right there made me spit my water right out when I saw that. That was a good one. So Muriel helps us with setting really good boundaries, because that's kind of like the pig pen dust. If we get sucked into social media world, because it's easy to get sucked in, right? We take ourselves away from ourselves. We literally split our spirit. Our soul knows better, but our human curiosity can get the best of us, right? I see all things and all things see me. The other part of Muriel's assistance is that if you are a seer, if you are sensitive, when you set really good boundaries and you keep the pig pen dust off of you, you begin to see more clearly. You begin to see spirit in all things. And I've been practicing that since I was little, because I was raised in a household where we were taught that God is in everything. God is in the rocks, God is in the grass, God is in the birds, God is everywhere. And if you look, you can really see it. And so as a young girl, that was a practice of mine. Well, there's another wonderful side to all of that. The more clearly you begin to see and acknowledge, all that you are seeing begins to see you more clearly. And a relationship begins to build. It's a marvelous thing. It's a wonderful thing. And so if I go outside in the forest, and if I sit long enough, and if I call Sparrowhawk in, Sparrowhawk will come in. If I think hard and fast and long enough about Eagle, most likely Wombly will come in, fly over, say hello, do a flyby, because we begin to build relationships between heaven and earth. That's how we come to see more clearly, and what we're seeing comes to really see us. What do they see in us? What is the note? Well, part of it is the ancestral note. So Donna, my cousin Donna, is in the chat room. She and I, we look a lot alike, number one. We have some things that we have in common. We have some things probably not in common. She's also a gypsy. She's a flight attendant for American Airlines, and she loves to travel, man. She's on the go, and so am I. My dad always used to say, Denise Lynn, you're like a fart in a whirlwind. You can't stay still for 5 minutes. And that's true. I can't. This whole pandemic thing and staying at home, oy vey. So, the other thing is that our ancestral light shines. She and I share half of our ancestry with one another on our daddy's side. So there's an ancestral spiritual light that shines, that spirit sees. There are individual lights that spirit sees. If I'm sitting with spirit, spirit is not looking at my physicality. Spirit is not going to say, if Donna and I are sitting next to one another, oh, they must be related, they look just alike. No, spirit is going to recognize the ancestral light, the energy, the octave, the sphere. If I'm sitting in Inipi in the Sweat Lodge, and Del Marie, chime in on this, please. If Chue and I are in the Sweat Lodge, whether here in the Enchanted Forest or out on Pine Ridge with one another, Spirit isn't going to say, gee, look at Del, look at Denise, gee, they look nice tonight in the Inipi. That's a nice Inipi dress they have on. No, that's not what Spirit is looking at. Spirit doesn't care if our hair is combed or how nice our Sweat Lodge dresses look. No, Spirit sees our spirit. And that goes back to keeping it clear, good boundaries. What are you feeding your mind, your body, your spirit with, right? Okay, so I don't know why I went off on that whole tangent about Muriel, but I did. I said we were going to have fun this morning, so here we are. Hey, Becca Lineberry, good to have you in the house. Oh, Donna's like, amen to the social media black hole. It is. It will suck you in. Yeah, the thoughts that come to you are also inspiring. Right on, Chue. You can be inspired. I remember, oh my goodness, Del, maybe you were there. I was pouring a sweat lodge a few years back, and there was a nun, a retired nun, Sister Deborah, who had come up from southern Indiana. And in that particular inipi, in that sweat lodge, eagle came in. And oh, it came in really loud, and I could hear eagle flapping its wings. And I thought, oh my, I know exactly where that eagle is going to go. And everybody could hear the eagle flapping its wings inside the sweat lodge. And sure enough, I had Sister Deborah sitting behind me to protect her from the heat because this was the first sweat lodge she had ever been to. And by golly, Wombly came in and went clockwise around the circle. You know how they pat and do healing as they go around, and right to Sister Deborah. And I could hear Wombly behind me patting her with his wing. And all of a sudden she began to speak in tongues. And then she began to sing in tongues. And wow, I had never heard that before. Ever. But it was beautiful. Tara, you were probably there. And most likely, Carla Jo, you were there. Heck, Katie, you might have even been there at the time. Well, when Wombly was done and left the NEP, when the door was opened, and the NEP was wrapped up, I said to Sister Deborah, I said, so sister, what did you think about the visitation from Wombly? And she said, well, that's not anything I ever experienced in the convent. It's not anything I've ever experienced as a nun, but you know holy when you know holy. And when it touched me, I was inspired to talk in tongues and then sing in tongues. I was inspired. And I thought that was a wonderful way of expressing it. You know holy when you know holy. Right? And so it comes in many ways. Not one way has the only way. Not one way has the only way. And there's so much grace to be seen when we can get out of our own pigeonhole, right? All right. Oh, hey, Kelly Spencer. Oh, Donna, you'll find out. You'll be up here in a sweat lodge as soon as all the lockdowns up here in Michigan are done. And hopefully you'll be in a sweat lodge when Barbara and Dell and Cheryl come along, and maybe Ivan Looking Horse, for Easton's naming ceremony. You're welcome, Charlotte. Okay, Donna, this one is for you, cousin. Alrighty, spinning it around. Oh, speaking of the eagle, it is the Archangel Saint Michael, that is here for you. The Prince of Light, the ruler of the fourth heaven. For myself, and people do it differently, but when we talk about the heavens, like the ruler of the first heaven, the second heaven, the ninth heaven, what is that? Well, to me anyway, and this is just me, I equate those to the chakras, right? So for me, when I was studying, and where did I come up with this information? Well, I looked at a lot of different texts. I really did. In accumulating the information for the cards and my books, the Book of the Dead, the Egyptian Book of the Dead, Kabbalah, the Torah, just a variety of things. And of course, the Old Testament, and various other Coptic texts. When talking about the angels, there's so much to be found. But with the Archangel Saint Michael being the ruler of the fourth heaven, to me that means he's the ruler, it is the ruler of the heart chakra. And I think for me, when I think of the eagle, when I think of Michael, I like to equate them for myself. And he will raise you up on eagle's wings and bear you on the breath of God. um, the heights to which we descend in this lifetime are always matched by the heights that we are able to ascend. The depths to which we descend are always matched by the heights that we are able to descend or to ascend. Walking the path of the mystic requires balance and integrity. In the physical and non-physical worlds around and within us, banishing negativity in order to expose and expand the brilliance of light often takes great courage and discipline. So too, setting healthy and stable boundaries is rarely easy, and maintaining those borders can be harder still. Saint Michael, the beloved archangel of the celestial spheres, lovingly invites us to contemplate that which may be out of balance. Right? Michael brings equilibrium. Equilibrium. So if I'm watching too much CNN or MSNBC, right, I get this little nudge. Turn off the TV, Dana. Turn it off. No more. I don't watch TV very much anyway. Very rarely. Turn it off. If I'm overthinking about something, Dana, turn it off. Go outside. Hug a tree. Go make snowballs. Right? It's all about balance. Balance with self and relationship, not easy. Michael is the patron saint of teachers, law enforcement, and the military. And of course is always equated with Christ Michael. Yeah. And the Merkaba, the light body. We really get into our light body when we are in balance. So if we know that something, we can feel something is off. Have you ever been like that? You just know. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm just feeling off. If you go into meditation or quiet space or go on a walk and you invite Michael to walk with you, it'll be revealed where it's off. Yeah. And also if you just need a kick-ass guardian angel or angel at your side, right? Michael's the one. If we're breaking ties with somebody or something, whew, that's the angel. Go hit some golf balls. That is right on, Nikki. Hey, Nikki. Hit some golf balls. I love to golf. And thank you, Kelly. Right? Kelly gifted me with her mama's golf clubs. I love sports. I used to play lots and lots of sports in junior high and high school. And I'm one of those people that if I'm playing sports, I was pretty good at them, and I'm still pretty good at them, but I like to have fun. And before marrying Todd, every time I golfed with those people that throw their clubs. You ever golfed with somebody like that, or not only throw their golf clubs because they get upset, but their balls and they storm off? That's not fun to me. And Todd likes to golf like I do, for fun. So, yeah, we spend a lot of time at the driving range, a lot of time outdoors golfing. I love it. Camping and golfing, there's a great combo. Nikki Jorgensen, up there at the Heartful Art Studio, baby. Check out her website too, by the way, heartfulartstudio.com. Her work is extraordinary. Ah, Donna. I'll let him guide me today. Right on. You know holy when you know holy. Yeah. Charlotte is adding, as you talk about balance, 2 blue jays came to my feeders. Blue jays can represent the balance between heaven and earth. Goosebumps. And also the Archangel Michael, in some ancient texts, Donna, by the way, the blue of the sky the blue of the sky, is the Archangel Saint Michael. There you go. All right, Kelly Spencer. Well, I know, I love Mrs. Holt. When the Sarge was transferred to Fort Snelling, Minnesota, from we were in Hawaii. Were we in Hawaii before? Yeah, we were in Hawaii, and then Dad was stationed in Fort Snelling, Minnesota. They're in the suburbs of St. Paul and Minneapolis. In fact, when you take off from the airport there, you can see Fort Snelling. Anywho, Kelly and I met straight away in junior high and hit it off immediately. We were very syncopatic, very different, but very alike. And her mom just made me feel to home, as they say, right at home. Her mom and dad, right at home, took me right in. All right, here I got mixed up here. Kelly, this one is for you. And now I have her golf clubs. And I'll tell you, that Big Bertha, that driver and I'm telling you right now. The Archangel IML, Kelly. IML is what? The angel of change, revolution, and evolution. And this, Chue, you'll recognize this. This is actually a teaching that I first heard from Chief Philip Whiteman. And Chief Philip Whiteman is of the Northern Cheyenne people and a cousin of Del Marie and Barb. He's an incredible man. You might recognize that Chief Philip Whiteman because every year Gathering Thunder Foundation sponsors a meal for the Fort Robinson Breakout Spiritual Run runners and their sponsors. And Philip has this great phrase that he uses, or question. Is it better to be on time or in time? To go with the flow of time or bend it to our own personal needs? Is it possible to flow back in time or visit a time yet to come? In time, all things change, and with it comes the potential for transformation. It's all about growth, transformation. It's about going into the ancestral past, bringing it into the present. That's what Sandy Herrick and I are facilitating in our new class that we're doing, going back into the ancestry. Invite the Archangel IML to journey with you through the vast landscapes of the time continuum as you search for knowledge, wisdom, and healing. Also, IML is known as the Angel of Air. The angel of the element of air. Evolve, flow, and ascend, right? Our ancestors are always walking with us. They have to. They're in our blood and they're in our bones. And they're working through changes with us right now. We're really ensconced now in Aquarius. Before Aquarius, we had Aries. And before Aries was the time of Taurus. And so the time of Taurus, which would have been about, 8,000 years ago, time of Taurus is the time of the goddess, of the Stonehenges, of the pyramids, of the high priests and priestesses. And then comes along the time of Aries, which is the time of war, of male dominion, etc., etc. And so you see the ages that we go through here on Grandmother Earth. And then at the time of the Piscean age, many herald that at what we know as the Star of Bethlehem, the time of the Piscean age. And now we are entered into Aquarius. And all of our ancestors traversed this with us. Right? Some of our ancestors lived. I always imagine my Scottish ancestors, right, like in the show Outlander, dancing between the Stonehenges, those stones up in Scotland. I like to imagine that. And my Egyptian ancestors there in the pyramids and all of that. And pretty soon we have the time of the Roman Empire, of the Egyptian empires, and the armies of, the Trojan armies and all of that. And pretty soon, lo and behold, comes a rabble-rouser known as Yeshua in the Piscean age. And now we're all traveling together, all of us, into Aquarius, the balance of the male and the female within us and around us. Nothing we can do about it. We can rail against the machine. We can rail against the stars and the cosmos and the spheres. It doesn't matter what we in our little humanness do about that. We are in the age of Aquarius that says, welcome back to the table, divine feminine. We recognize you from the time of Taurus. Geez, we've gone through 2 ages, Aries and Pisces, where you were neglected and put on a shelf. Welcome back to the table. And for some people, quite frankly, it's scary that the Sophia is back. The mother is back. The power of the divine feminine is back and rebalancing with the male. So I don't know why I had to say all of that, but it's IML, right? There we are in this time of Aquarius. Tricky doings for some, that's all I can say. Nikki. You're welcome, Cal. Nikki. I'll tell you, Nikki, I just have to say, the water bottles that you laser engraved for the top prize winners of the Native Women Running and Indigenous Trails New Year's Challenge, those winners, oh my gosh. I have to tell you that Scott Flatlip, who lives up on the Crow Reservation in Montana, he sent me a note. And Nikki, when he opened up the water bottles, he said that it brought him to tears. They're so beautiful and so meaningful, the way that you created those. It brought him to tears that you took such time and great care in creating those. And the 8 top runners, 4 women and 4 men, how Aquarian, in the top categories were thrilled. I mean, they were thrilled with all of the top prizes that Gathering Thunder provided, but especially your water bottles. And, right now I actually have one of my purple Witch's Brew coffee mug that you created for me here. Okay, so enough about that. HeartfulArtStudio.com. She ships, everybody. All right, Nikki. Pour vous. The Archangel Asariel, the ruler of the waves, the angel of discernment. Well, that's a good one, isn't it? You need a little clarity, you need a little discernment. Asariel, the Archangel Asariel, is an energy, is a being of light that helps with discernment. You know what? Discernment is not easy, is it? Because our heart gets in the way, our past gets in the way, our traumas get in the way, our wishful thinking gets in the way of discernment. Does for me anyway. So when I need to discern something for myself, I always bring into the equation the one known as Asariel. Sometimes I cannot see the forest because I'm standing smack dab in the middle of all the trees. That's why I have to have honest people in my life who will give me, the lowdown, tell me what they see. Sometimes they'll, before I even ask, right? It's not uncommon to get like a text message from Nikki giving me the lowdown. She doesn't even know I need the lowdown. And I'll get a text message from Nikki. I don't know why I'm telling you this, and it's just what I needed to hear. Okay, so Nikki, discernment is the key to clarity and balance in all aspects of our spiritual, physical, mental, and emotional life, as well as our relationship with the seen and the unseen. The Archangel Asariel helps us to gain clarity by dissolving the specters of illusion, rumor, chaos, clouded emotions, and the bonds of ignorance and negativity. Asariel helps to uncover the truth of the matter for those who are seeking it, even in spiritual visitations. I'm always, checking and rechecking. Who's here? Who's here? Boy, last night I was having a doozy of a dream. And in the dream, the part that I remember about the dream that I had last night, and it seemed like I dreamed it forever, was making the statement, I am the daughter of Billy King. And make no mistake, I will not back down. And in the dream, I kept repeating it. Well, in the morning, as I was putting the pieces of the dream together and that statement, I needed some clarity. What was going on? What was happening? Why did I need to state and restate, I am the daughter of Billy King? And if you think I am going to back down, you are wrong. Whoa, what was that about? Sitting with it. If you have dreams like that, everybody, you can, of course, go to the Dream Dictionary. I'm not saying don't go to the Dream Dictionary, but I am saying another way that you can help get some clarity is to invite Asariel in the morning. Get your little cup of coffee or tea or orange juice or whatever and sit for a minute, quiet. Asariel, why was I so adamant about that last night? What was going on? What was I reconciling in my mind, in my spirit, in my soul? What was being revealed? So there's another hint from Heloise about dream work. What I dream about and what it means is not necessarily going to mean the same thing for Katie or Dell or Kelly or Tara or Carla Joe. May have some similarities, but we need to be able to discern. Same thing is true with totem animals. We can kind of sort of have some guidelines about what a totem animal may represent. But to take it a step further, to discern what it means for you or for a situation, I think is really important. And that maybe that's just me. I don't know. All right. Well, I'm going to draw a card for every one of us. We'll call it the full moon card. And if one of you has not yet followed me here on Spreaker, if you would follow me and switch that 89 followers to 90 followers, I would be really tickled. I keep looking at that 89 and I'm like, really, can't it be 90? Just let it be 90. All right. Here is one for all of us. This is a doozy too. It's the Thunderers. Now, transfiguration, thunder and lightning. The thunder, easy for me to say, thunder beings, thunder dreamers. Thunder dreamers, whether we're talking about in the Hebrew context of thunder dreamer, or if we're talking in another indigenous text about thunder dreamer, thunder dreamers are those that see beyond the veil. It's about seeing beyond the veil. And there are whole, in the Old Testament, writings about the thunder. If you have a copy of the George Lamas Bible, the Gnostic Bible, lots of teachings about the thunder, if you are a Bible collector like I am. I have my favorite one. It's sitting here on my desk. It's the Old Testament and the New Testament, and it is the one by George Lamas because he took the old text at the turn of it was in the early 1900s, directly out of the Aramaic. And so I have that one on my desk. It's a jewel that I found, and so I keep it here. But in all of the ancient texts, and even in the old oral traditions that were never written. There's the idea of the thunder dreamer, of the thunder beings, those that dance between shadow and light, between heaven and earth, in the energy of that, right? Deep teachings. And it's about metamorphosis, an opportunity for great change. Thunder and lightning also represents the connection and the pathway of communication between the heavens and Grandmother Earth. To many indigenous healers and holy persons around the earth, the same teaching still holds true. Years ago, I was giving a lecture at Olivet College, and I got on a tangent about being a thunder dreamer. And I talked about it not just from the perspective of Native America, but from the perspective of the Aramaic perspective, the Hebrew perspective, all of those nerdy things that I like to study. And I noticed there was a gentleman in the lecture hall that began to weep. And so when I was done with my lecture, his name is Dale Allen Hoffman. Some of you know him. He is a scholar of the Aramaic language. And he walked up to me and he said, "You are the first person that I've ever heard lecture about thunder and thunder dreaming outside of the context of what we typically consider those to be associated with, shamanic practices, etc." He said, "You brought it back to the Hebrew traditions." And I said, "Well, yeah, it's multifaceted. It's not just one." And he and I became friends. So he's also an Aramaic scholar. All right, so here we go, everybody. It's full moon day. It's the full wolf moon. Last night, well, I was at Elise's place. Elise had surgery yesterday, and it got pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. So the kids didn't get home until, oh my gosh, 10:15. I love my son-in-law, and he clearly loves me because they got home. I had put the baby to bed, and all was well in their home. And I made him come outside and stand in the front yard with me and look up at the sky. And together he and I stood there, and we identified Orion's belt and the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper, and he and I just sat there. It was so clear, and the moon was spectacular. And you know how it is when the snow looks like a beach of diamonds? He said, "Don't we do this a lot, you and I?" And I said, "Yeah, we do." Thank you for doing that with me. And my whole point of that is being awake and aware is part of the beauty of being in the full moon, being awake and aware to the fact that it is a full moon. And what are the alignments of the stars around that moon for you, wherever you happen to be? Paying attention to those. Okay, the all-seeing eye of the Thunderer watches us as we walk our earthly journey. Are we staying the course of our soul's path, doing our spiritual work with integrity? Are we ready for the next level of initiation, or do we need to be brought to back to the basics of learning? All of these questions and their truthful answers are the business of the thunder being. It's the all-seeing eye. Some call it the left eye or the right eye school of Horus. Two different things. Left eye schools in Egypt, right eye schools in Egypt. There we have the eye again. The thunder being, the thunder is one eye. Kind of like the all-seeing eyeball on the back of a dollar bill in the middle of that pyramid, right? But who is it that's really watching us? We are. Our soul watches us. Our light watches us. Our consciousness watches us. And when we veer off the red road and into the pucker brush, who do we call? Well, I call Michael, the archangel, right? Help get me back into a place of balance. But the whole point in all of this is tonight's a full moon. It's about reflection. Cold-hearted orb that rules the night, right? It's more than that. That orb that rules the night sun, known as the full moon, is a moon of reflection. The thunder dreamer goes into the reflection. It takes a look around, into the memories, into the ancestry, into the psyche. Has a little look-see around. What is it that, I'm to learn from this? Everything happens for a reason. What was the reason? Help me to see. Help me to see. Help me, as the Buddha would say, help me to polish the mirror. Isn't that marvelous? Well, I think it is. Okay, so everybody put on your Thunder Dreamer cap today. Get out there and shine your light. Good Lord, everybody knows we all need it. I need your light. Hope you need mine. Your light. Your unique, exquisite, beautiful light. Get out there and shine it, everybody, and have a beautiful, beautiful day. I'm glad you were here, cousin. It's always good to have you here. Blessings be, everybody.